So, you ready for an apocalypse? You ready for a Mage Knight apocalypse? I'm not. Hey, welcome to the Game Dungeon. You know, sometimes I use this show as an excuse to excise gaming demons of the past, and that's what's going on here today. This is Mage Knight Apocalypse, an RPG. Now, I've tried to play through this game before twice and couldn't. That's a good sign. But let's hope third time's the charm. Boy, this is a lot of logos, huh? I kind of want to talk about this, but we'll get to that later. Maybe. I don't know.
It was almost the end.
Oh no!
The land was consumed with war and savagery. A technomancy was afire with rebellion.
What?
The houses of the undead tore at each other in civil strife. Orc hordes poured across their borders, destroying as they went. And no corner of the land was untouched by this chaos.
Chaos!
But there were prophecies foretold, and the Solanavi remembered them and watched for their signs.
What's
when the
the-
end approached, they gathered a specific group of Oathsworn to struggle against that destiny.
Oathsworn!
Tal Windstrider, a paladin noble and true to his oath.
Duh, he's
Enos
Oathsworn.
Reborn, a marksman only recently unchained.
Boy, they're...
Kitana of Ulrich, last assassin of a house destroyed.
So
The
this...
Amazon huntress Chela, warrior and priestess. And Saris, an elemental mage and draconum, shunned by his people. Bound together by oath, they survived events that few could ever imagine. Their story is legend.
Legend! Wow, that narrator did not waste any time, huh? He said a lot, though I'm not sure I learned anything. Orcs. He did say there are orcs. Good enough. Let's go put him down. Okay, new game. And we choose our character. Now, while this is an interesting roster, Dwarf, begin. Now, this is kind of neat how this looks like an isometric game, but hey, look at that. We get a camera on the ground level too. I appreciate that. That's more work, creating a horizon, but it puts you in the world. Oh, and once again, I need to talk immediately about the HUD. As you can see, this was designed for a 4:3 aspect ratio. But I was able to hack it to work in widescreen, so the HUD is stretched, but the actual game isn't. And I don't know why this happened, but there used to be a portrait of your character here. See? Here's a screenshot I found. But that's gone, and instead it's solid white, which is kind of distracting. Well, the last time I ran this game, I think I was on Windows XP. So if this is the only thing that's gone wrong since then, we're getting off light. But there's no reason you should have to suffer. I'll clean this up in editing. There we go. Also, the game's a little dark. We'll talk more about that, but for now, I'll brighten it up even if that blows out the HUD some. You can't win at everything. Well, the tutorial's not gonna let us go without jumping through some hoops, so we have to talk to this big bastard. Now, I do appreciate how we get a mini cutscene and a minute and a half of voice acting. I'll take this any day over just some text block giving me a quest. That said, this is not an interesting story. He's injured and some orcs took his med kit. Go get it. Yeah. Well, the combat works by slotting in different skills. The dwarf has a basic melee attack, which is garbage, but also has a slow and more powerful melee attack. And multiple ranged attacks, the best one doing the most damage. So it seems like they're keeping things versatile, but it leans slightly towards incentivizing the ranged attacks. And you know what? I like the idea of playing a medieval fantasy game and just blowing people away with a rifle. Dwarf power. But the problem is, I can't go for very long without generating too much heat. It acts as kind of a reverse mana. You shoot too much and you have to wait for it to cool down. Then all you have is the basic melee attack, which again is garbage. You can't even use the melee slam move, because your axe generates heat in your gun barrel, which, well, heat is a problem. Now, if we look at the skills here, it's interesting that there's basically no reason to use the basic shot, since the targeted shot is less than double your heat, but does 2 to 3 times more damage. Now, maybe this scales differently as you level up, but whoa, what was that? Wisdom up? What happened? I wasn't doing anything. I just leveled up. There it is again. Strength up. I didn't even press a button. Do you just level up on a timer? That would be interesting. I don't think I've seen that before. I'm not sure what's happening here. Moving on. The heat sucks. I'm a couple minutes into the first level and it already feels like I'm slamming into a wall. Not only is the basic attack a lot less effective, but it puts me more at risk. Yeah, I'm getting chopped up here. I need a health potion already. And look at this. Look at how far they chase me. They're gonna push me all the way back to the start of the level. Now, I can respect that. You poke the bear, this is what happens. But I'm getting handcuffed by this heat mechanic. Oh, and look, in addition to waiting on the heat, I'm attacking too fast too. I have essentially a double cooldown to wait on. Not a fan. Yeah, this is not going well. This looks like one of those RPGs where the smart strategy is to sit and do absolutely nothing after each fight. In this case, so I can cool down. I'm not cool enough for this game. Yeah, I'm dead. I resurrect and the enemies do not respawn. I appreciate that, but it's not getting better. Now, I do have potions to cool down part of my heat, but not many. Certainly not enough for each encounter. Yeah, dead. Alright. Well, this brings up another issue in RPGs where sometimes the character you like the most may not be what you want in terms of gameplay. So maybe I'm just not dwarf material. I've been there before. Let's try someone else. I guess we'll start on the left. Okay, let's get this out of the way. She's dressed like a sex worker. Sort of. Now that in and of itself is not the problem. Now after the Sin episode, the internet may not understand my nuance on this, but I think this is stupid. The reason I think this is stupid is because she's supposed to be some badass warrior going in hand-to-hand combat with orcs, and this is what she's wearing. Either she's meant to be some sexy seductress, or she's supposed to be some elite warrior. You can't have both. Or maybe you can, but not at the same time. Like maybe after hours she dresses like this at the club, but no, this is not good orc fighting gear. Anytime I see this sort of thing, it kind of takes me out of the game, because it means the game itself doesn't care about its story, context, world building, or anything. It just wants a thong and high heels, the end. God forbid the sexy character actually fit within the story. No, just give her a flat mannequin expression and we're good to go. We can do better, you know?
People forget that the brain is the biggest erogenous zone.
On you, maybe.
Exactly. So yeah, if you still don't get it, just go watch The Big Lebowski anyway. Everybody wins. Well, she is a vampire, so she could probably still snap our necks dressed like this, but how does she hold up in the game? She has this poison attack which has delayed damage over 10 seconds. That just seems kind of unsatisfying to me. It's a different flavor of waiting. She also has this life drain move, which is okay, but I don't know. This is feeling kind of grindy already. It's giving me a little bit of that MMO combat feeling where I feel like I'm chopping down a bunch of trees. And this attack does use mana and does not come back quickly. Now again, I have potions for this, but my spider sense is telling me I'm still not going to get potions fast enough to keep up with my drain. She also has this stealth invisibility move where I can just run past people. But I have to wonder if this won't screw me later because I'm going to need the XP from killing all these enemies. I mean, hell, now I don't know since I seem to be leveling up over nothing earlier. But I just don't trust this game. Plus, I'm not sure if that would be the most fun way to play. Just go invisible and run past everyone the whole game? I've heard you can play Crisis 2 that way, but I haven't put that to the test. Besides, it wears off anyway. Yeah, I'm dead. Yeah, she's no Blood Rain. I'm not feeling it. Lizardman, you're up next. He's kind of a glass cannon. I was playing a little reckless and died before I even got out of the first trench. But that's okay, if he can bring on the pain himself. Well, he's definitely better for mana usage, but I'm still outpacing what I can build back, and I'm still not sure if mana potions are going to cover everything. Also, his fire magic and ice magic do almost the same amount of damage. So what's the point here? This makes me think later on we're going to have enemies resistant to fire and others resistant to ice. I've always found that sort of thing annoying. I mean, it can make sense if we're fighting a fire elemental or a demon, yeah, they're probably not going to be too sensitive to fire. But then you have to respec different skills, and I don't know. Now, earth magic does more damage than either fire or ice, but it also uses more mana. So I'm not sure what the cost-benefit analysis is. None of these feel great, and it's making me feel ambivalent about the different kinds of magic. Okay, now I have mana potions left, but let's pretend I was out, or wanted to save them for a boss. Here I am, drained of mana. Let's clock how long it takes to fully recharge. Zoop. 2 minutes, 4 seconds. That is way too long for a mage. Everything he does uses mana, except for his garbage melee attack. Yeah, no. Next. Alright, this looks like a Roman Legionnaire elf in a corset. Okay. This is still more protection than the vampire lady is sporting. Oh, and I apologize that you're sitting here watching me run the tutorial level over and over, but you kind of have to do this with big, long RPGs when things aren't clicking. I mean, how many RPGs are there where your character class can make or break the game for you? It's a lot. It's easier to do this now than find out hours into the game that you're screwed. And since I am revisiting this level, check it out. We have fading trees like in Dungeon Siege. Though unlike Dungeon Siege, they stay solid, even though you can't see them. Well, the elf's ranged attack is nothing special, but his melee special attack is the best so far. It does okay damage. Not amazing, but okay. But when you kill an enemy, you get back some of your mana. So this actually might be sustainable. Well, not quite. It doesn't recharge on its own. He has faith, not mana, which you have a prayer move to manually charge it. He also has the ability to heal himself. Yeah, okay. This feels semi-viable. So far, so good. Does that sound like a cow to you? Does to me. But last and maybe least, I don't know, is our Huntress. Now she's not wearing many clothes either, but I can almost give a pass to fantasy Amazon women because they're from the jungle. And the jungle is so freaking hot, it's hard to imagine wearing clothes. So her clothes don't look like a sex thing necessarily. More like it's 110 degrees out. Well, her melee damage isn't quite as good as the elf's, though her energy meter is the best by far. This snaps back so fast, it feels like a rubber band. This is more my style. She has 3 different stances, but I'm not really into this jack-of-all-trades, master of none thing in games. I'm already a master of nothing in my own life. This is a fantasy game that doesn't have to follow me here. Moreover, the bigger problem here is she seems to have no healing ability at all outside of potions. That may be a problem. Okay, I fought some. Let's pretend I burned through my health potions, which is not hard to imagine. I'm at the brink of death here. How long does it take me to heal up? 1 minute, 37 seconds. That is still not good for a character with no healing ability. She's better than I thought, but I think she's just gonna get me killed later. Okay, Elf Legionnaire it is. See, the 2 best classes would probably have been my last picks thematically. You never know. Well, playing as the elf is mostly tolerable. I keep getting reminders at the top of the screen that I'm attacking too much. I don't know what to think about that. This is an action RPG. Almost everything you do is attack. Whatever. The combat seems sustainable until I level up, then we have problems. I'm doing more damage, but now my faith is draining faster. Too fast. It's not keeping up with the enemies I kill anymore. I guess I need to pray, but damn, this is kind of slow. Let's just go forward. Okay, that was a bad idea. I didn't have enough faith, and now I'm almost dead. I'm popping potions now. I should probably hotkey these. Yeah, this is not good. I should have prayed harder. You know how some people will pray to God in desperate situations, saying if they just get through this, they'll be a better person and turn their life around? That's how I feel right now. If I survive this onslaught, I promise to pray more. In this game. Yeah, I was being too sloppy, but it's not just me. The enemies are pretty sloppy with their attacks too. Look at the slow motion here. Boom! Direct hit. Yeah, there's no dodging these. The arrows are purely symbolic. If you can see them, they've already hit you. Or rather, you can dodge, but it's purely a hidden dice roll thing. You can't manually dodge any projectiles coming at you. And I didn't notice this earlier, but check it out, they can fire backwards at you too. Look at that. You're just gonna eat arrows in this game, that's all there is to it. Okay, I made it. This time I prayed, now I'm good and pious. Let's go. And we get a cutscene where we're casually talking to some amorphous armored blob thing. Yeah, I'm definitely getting World of Warcraft vibes from this. I feel like I've seen this thing before, but maybe not. There's a lot of blobs out there. Oh, and by the way, I have no idea what's going on with the story, but I think it's not my fault this time, because they just kind of thrust us in here. Like, I don't know who or what this is, why we're meeting it, how it knows me, what's our purpose, nothing. I showed you the full intro. You've literally missed nothing from the story so far watching this video. Okay, I take that back. I glossed over his bio sheet. Maybe that says why he's here. No, this doesn't tell us anything. All this says is the Elf Council sucks. Yeah, tell me something I don't know. The Black Powder Revolution. That sounds interesting. Too bad he's not going to say anything else about that. Yeah, we're getting a lot of references with no context at all here. I might not care so much if I knew the plot.
Chaos.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. The plot is there's chaos. The blob guy is obviously in charge, and we're oath sworn. Is the oath to it? Yeah, this kind of goes without saying, but don't make oaths to blobs, kids. You can't trust them. Well, the blob delegates us to the dwarf here, and something about his face is throwing me off. Is it just me, or do the eyes look kind of feminine? I don't know, maybe it's the eyelashes. Well, he says slavers are stealing dwarves, so go kill them. Can do. But before we go, I guess this is as good a place as any to talk about the lighting. The short version is it's all a little messed up, but it's different flavors of messed up. Okay, I've been enhancing this in editing. Here's what it looks like by default. Not horrendous, but kind of dark and lifeless, huh? Well, that's because this is another one of those games with the damn bloom turned up. If I enable all the graphics, this is what it looks like. Well, that crystal sure looks like it's glowing with energy, but everything's a little harder to focus on. Look at the clouds and the mountain peak. While clouds can get that bright from the sun in spots, everything doesn't get this bright across the board unless some sort of major bomb is going off. And look, we have that damn additive lighting again. Now the steam is glowing white. That's not right. And look at how dark the spire here is. And the tree trunks. These are really dark. Too dark for bomb lighting here. The contrast is rough. Now everything has a haze. This is not easy on the eyes. So I killed the worst of it, but what if I turn off the fog? Well, man, now the mountains are kind of clear. With the fog on, everything has a brown haze. Though maybe it's supposed to be like that because the dwarves are polluting the place. They probably are. But the fog can kind of add to the mood elsewhere. Here, let's move on to the next area. Okay, here's the game with no bloom and fog. This is pretty dark. Here it is with the fog on. Yeah, see, this has a mood. And here are things with everything on. Wow. Well, this might be good for a music video, but this is kind of crazy. There's just no balance here. So I don't know what we should be doing by default. There are no right answers with this game's lighting. I think nuclear bloom is the wrong answer, though. Well, this area looks kind of nice, and we're here freeing the slaves, and we get a cutscene and a big thanks from everyone we do. The voice acting's not bad either.
But I will burn before I wear those chains again.
Yeah! Well, the plot is the Atlanteans are a bunch of slavers rounding up dwarves, and we need to stop them. This is interesting, because I'm assuming the Atlanteans are from Atlantis? And every portrayal I've seen of Atlantis has shown this advanced, sometimes utopian society. But nope, here they're just a bunch of slavers. They're tough, too. Everyone is taking noticeably more hits than the previous level. I'm starting to burn through my faith again, even when I'm charged before battle. Then I'm back to my crappy basic melee attack, unless I want to burn through potions, and I'm not finding many potions on all these bodies. Not that I can hold much. My inventory keeps filling up. I dropped off some stuff in my stash, but apparently not enough. I don't know what to do here because I'm carrying herbs for making potions, and potions themselves, and armor, and weapons, and other crafting ingredients, and I have no idea what's valuable and what's junk. Now, I'm sure if I play the game more, I'll figure out what to keep or not, but this feels awfully stingy for the quantity of items I'm getting. Ooh, what's this glowing orb thing? Huh. The loot bag doesn't work, neither does the orb. Although that did wreck my color settings as soon as it appeared. See? Watch. Well, you mess with a mystery orb, this is what you get. I'm actually fine with mystery orbs like this. I just wish they didn't mess with my graphics settings. I'll fix it later. I'm praying a lot. More than I want to be. It's the only way to get through this. It's getting to the point where I really want to start using these potions that restore my faith just so I can stop standing here staring at the screen. But I know they're not sustainable at the rate I'm finding them. So I thought, hey, why don't I use these damn herbs I've been picking up everywhere? Well, I go to do that and oh, look at that! I don't have what I need to make a simple potion. I have almost 40 herbs by now, but I don't have that glass-petaled vetch. This is a joke. I've been picking up every herb I can find, but it doesn't matter. No, it double doesn't matter, because I don't even have a vial to mix the potion in. Yeah, this is gonna be real fun. These herbs are taking up a third of my inventory. I need more ingredients, and this is just level 2. Well, we make it to the boss. He's just another bandit, but with better armor. Oh, yeah, also some Dwarf City hired, separate from the dwarves he's enslaving, blew up a bridge, but they got the scheduling wrong. Though I don't think this affects the story in any way, but that's fine. I don't need a reason for dwarves to blow things up. This boss fight is not fun and kind of anticlimactic since I have to draw off his buddies one at a time, pray, then go back and do it again. Ironically, the boss himself is the one enemy that will not chase you forever, thus incentivizing you to pray, fight, run, pray, fight, run. Oh my god. I finally kill him, but to quote American Psycho, there is no catharsis. I'm not feeling that sense of victory. I'm feeling like when you're working at a hard job and you finished a big task that wore you down, but you still have 5 hours left on the clock. That feeling is not why I play games. The game is a slog. Every action is accompanied by minutes of running and waiting. There's just no way out. Look, let's break down what's happening here. Most of the game seems to be approaching groups of enemies. If you rush in and face them head on, you'll probably die or else burn a lot of health potions. It's inefficient, it's not a viable tactic. And remember, you can't dodge, block, or parry on your own. Those are all determined by hidden dice rolls. None of your actual gameplay has any bearing on that. Nobody's ranged attacks are powerful or fast enough to kill everyone before they get to you, so your only real option is to get the attention of a few guys at the edge, run away to separate them from the pack, and you better be ready for them because they'll chase after you forever. Though I kind of like that part, it feels realistic. But you kill them, then wait while you heal or build back your energy or both, then head back to the original pack and do that maybe 2 more times. And remember, you wait. If you don't wait to heal, you wait to recharge. If you don't wait to recharge, you wait to heal. All roads lead to waiting. Why? Who are we waiting on? Well, we're waiting on World of Warcraft. Okay, kids, it's time to have the World of Warcraft talk. Actually, there's probably a few World of Warcraft talks, but here's mine. This game has some World of Warcraft DNA in it. The art style's similar, the skill tree has that kind of vibe, and the combat echoes it a bit. That's a problem. Why is that a problem? I mean, World of Warcraft is a gigantic high fantasy world to explore. What's not to like about it? Well, besides the subscription fee, because Jesus Christ, the reason I don't play World of Warcraft is the combat. The combat in World of Warcraft is slow. You attack, then you just stand around until you can attack again. I find this sort of thing maddening. Oh sure, later you can get more abilities so that you can chain a couple attacks together, but there's always a delay. then you might have a cooldown for those abilities. I hate it. I hate this kind of combat. This right here is why I don't play most MMOs. This is just a wall I can't get over. When I first saw how characters attacked in World of Warcraft, my first thought was, oh, it's like the previous Warcraft games. If you attack with a single unit in Warcraft, it's not that fast. He takes his time between swings. Well, okay, he's kind of zippy in Warcraft 2, but hey, Warcraft 3, he's still taking his time. But that's okay for Warcraft games because you're controlling an army. Who cares how fast a single unit attacks? It's part of an army. And World of Warcraft is an MMO. So the idea is you bunch together with other people so that collectively the attacks are satisfying. Individually, So anytime I see slow attacks like this, my first thought is, where's the rest of my army? So where is it, Mage Knight Apocalypse? Yeah, it's not here, because I would bet money the developers were World of Warcraft fans. So they just blindly copied some elements, maybe without thinking things through, that this is a single-player game, and that's why we're stuck waiting around for bars to recharge no matter what class you play. So how do we solve this? Well, as a designer, there's probably a dozen ways. You can make the combat more skill-based, balance the fights better, give the player more potions. But I'm not the designer, I'm the player. So what does the player do? Well, we have two options. Suffer, that's an option, or cheat. I'm going to cheat. Now, there are no cheat codes for this game, so that means we're going to need a trainer. Well, I found one, but I'm always a little wary of trainers. Oh yeah, look at this. Virus Total does not like this trainer. See, trainers often use invasive methods to hook into the game and modify the memory, but my problem is I'm not computer literate enough to tell the difference between a trainer that looks like a virus, but is just a false positive, versus a working trainer for a game that also contains an actual virus. So I tend to treat all trainers that fail virus checks as though they're actual viruses, because some of them are. But I almost never do this, but I'm gonna make an exception for this episode. I did a check of what it changes in a virtual machine, and it added apache.dll to the system directory. It did some stuff to the registry, but doesn't seem too crazy. I don't know. Plus, I ran this 10 years ago without incident, I think. So at least it's not ransomware. That would be bad. But this is a bad idea. You should never run a suspicious executable like this unless you really know what you're doing. You know that show, Will It Blend, where they put everything into a blender?
Will it blend? That is the question.
Yeah, spoiler, it will blend. It always blends. The host reduces everything he touches to rubble.
This is what happens when you leave your toys out at Poppy's house.
I think the only time it didn't blend was the crowbar episode. Well, in a lot of episodes, he'll grind up electronics like smartphones and reduce them to fine powder. And he always says, "Don't breathe this."
Don't breathe this.
Even though he's not wearing a mask or anything. I mean, look at that. You can see it billowing off the glass.
Remember, don't breathe this glass. You get silicosis.
Well, this may as well be me right now. I'm running a trainer that overwhelmingly failed a virus check, and I even had to create an exception on my own scanner to allow it. This is not smart. Alright, let's go. Don't breathe this. Well, since I am using a trainer and bending reality to my will, that means Dwarf is back on the menu. Bye, Elf. Now, the trainer has a few options, but one that jumps out to me is one-hit kills. Yeah. I wouldn't say that's a perfect balance, but that's a step in the right direction. Plus, I think that will feel better, just blowing away bandits with a gun. Well, the trainer does work. Indeed, if I shoot an enemy, now I kill him in one shot. That feels great. What doesn't feel great is, like any good deal with the devil, I get a little more than I bargained for. Observe. This is what the game looks like normally. Some barricades, enemies shooting at me. Feels like a game that would be a fun situation if the combat wasn't garbage. Now let's see what happens with the one-hit cheat. The barricade's gone. Everyone's dead. Extra props have been destroyed. Almost all the enemies are dead. There's one or two stragglers, that's it. The mini-boss is dead. The escort's gone. This is a ghost town. This is the real Mage Knight Apocalypse. It already happened. I think this is cheating a little too much. I'm only turning on cheats to make the gameplay tolerable, but we've gone too far in the other direction. I'm not sure this is even a game now. I don't think I'm gonna be able to use this cheat. It's too powerful. This is a digital monkey's paw. So no one-hit kills. That is too bad. But we have infinite energy. Gonna have to add that one. And at first I thought that would be enough, but no. Even with infinite energy using the best attacks, which aren't amazing, I think I'm still gonna get outpaced by the damage taken and have to stand around waiting unless I want to run back significantly after every single fight, which is a form of waiting in itself. Screw it, I'm activating infinite health too. Is this lame? Yeah, it kind of is. But what's more lame, praying to God or being a god? We have to choose. Yeah, I can't do this. I just have no respect at all for this kind of gameplay. Riveting. Back to the game, the boss is dead, and while clunky, part of this is beautiful. Even though that water makes me feel like I'm gonna get cataracts. I check back in with the dwarves and they say to come on in. Whoa, did that music sound like it was cut there? I thought we were gonna have an opening theme, but no. I have a recent save. Let's try it again. Nope. It reminds me of school assemblies where there's music playing before some speaker comes out, and they just cut it abruptly once they're ready. The dwarf inside wants me to check out his murder hall. It's alright. Inside is the Dwarf City, which is nothing like World of Warcraft. Not like that game at all. I like the statue here. Also, this music is giving me Zelda vibes. Now up ahead, some merchant gives us a side quest, and I think this is a microcosm of what's happening with the writing here. The game is dropping so many references that are not explained, it's getting a little out of hand. Okay, in this one conversation, we have references to Atlanteans, Wilden Elves, Magestone, the Gnarled Woods, Oak Warriors. Okay, boars is capitalized. Are these special boars? Stone Rage, Shadow Mage Spawn, and Silverholt we know. That's the name of the city. And I guess technically we have seen the Atlanteans, but I know literally nothing about them aside from them being slavers. Now you don't need to explain every last detail, but this is a lot to be dropping casually if you want people to give a damn about your story. Here's another merchant.
What do you want?
Wait a minute. Isn't this kind of a slur? I did not remember this. Why is this in a fantasy action game? What's happening? You know, a game like this takes a team of people to create. So the director said we need another merchant for the Dwarven City. And the production team said, okay, here you go. Then the director saw this and said, perfect. Now let's keep it up. We still need to do the Mein Kampf speech for the centaurs in chapter 5. I don't know what to say here. This isn't where I thought we were going at all. Hopefully this is just a one-off. Let's keep going. Well, the dwarves have mechs and spiked steamroller tanks, but they still can't defend themselves against the slavers, huh? Some of the city is impressive. I wish the camera would let me look up more. This is as high as it goes. And that's about it. This is budget Ironforge, not the real deal. Oh, these are the Gnarled Woods. The level we already played, except it's been remixed. It's a little early for the game to be recycling levels, but okay. Oh, and now we have invisible enemies that I can bump into, but can't target until they appear. I am immediately not regretting my decision to cheat. Okay, these are the Shadow Mage spawn, right. Oh, now these are relatively lightweight, but pop quiz. When are invisible enemies in a game fun? I'm not sure I've ever seen an invisible enemy where I'm glad they put that in the game. I mean, a bunch of people are gonna mention that one in Amnesia, but I didn't really find that fun. Okay, wait, that's not completely true. If they're intended as a barrier to an area until you get a special upgrade to see them, then that's kinda cool. But in just straight up combat, no, not a fan. Somebody should help that cow. Well, I am liking the art design of this area. This may be what's keeping me in the game. And we make it to another boss. It's the troll I helped in the tutorial level. I guess he's all healed up, so now he wants to kick my ass for helping him, I guess. Oh, and look at this. His minions rush me and bam! Look at that attack range of his club. I'm pretty sure it was impossible to dodge that, and he does that multiple times. That's one of his standard moves. Oh yeah, I'm really robbing myself cheating on this game. Well, good thing I have a Gatling gun that only fires in tiny bursts. You know, I think firing a Gatling gun repeatedly into his crotch actually is the appropriate response to this, though it takes longer than you'd think. And down he goes, whoop whoop. Back to the Dwarf City, there are new people to talk to. Howdy, I'm the city master in these parts. I guess these parts being the city, am I right? I don't know if this means he's the mayor, or just an urban planner, or what. If you are an urban planner, I think it's fair to introduce yourself this way. Well, we get some plot points, I think. Apparently the Dark Dwarves are the ones helping the slavers. Except that the Dark Dwarves used to be close allies of the regular dwarves. And the Black Powder Rebellion ends up getting explained, even though they decided that wasn't worthy of voice acting. It sounds like the Atlanteans used to enslave these dwarves, but they broke free one day when some guy shot one in the head. Hence the rad statue of him. Anyway, I'm confused because apparently the Dark Dwarves even provided refuge to the enslaved dwarves, and they have never been in conflict? So what's dark about these dark dwarves? It sounds like they're just dwarves helping other dwarves until just recently when they went from being adamantly against slavery to helping the slavers. But they were called the Dark Dwarves before any of that happened. I should know better than to question a story like this, but
Chaos.
Okay. Oh, and the armored blob needs to talk to us again, and I realize they're doing that thing where you have shifting male and female speakers.
The job was right to send you to me.
It reminds me of the father-mother from Xenoclash.
Why did you bring him here? It's my baby. Don't let him get near my babies.
Well, off to the quarry to go kill some dark dwarves. This is a beautiful spot to kill some dwarves, with the evening light and the water flows, even though that blur effect is pissing me off. There are a lot of scenic spots. This is what I want to see from fantasy games. And I unlock an area of effect attack, which is good because this is going to get ugly without it. It's of course weak, and if I wasn't cheating, it would overheat just as fast as every other attack. It boggles my mind imagining playing this game normally. Especially when I get a cutscene and get ambushed by some dwarves with rocket launchers, and another pack of dwarves with rocket launchers, and some more dwarves with rocket launchers up on the cliff. Kill 'em! Boom, boom. Oh yeah, this would have been loads of fun playing without cheats. I mean, that's what you want, right? Your weapons overheating in situations like this? Well, after more of this very scenic level, we get to the big king dwarf, and we learn that he's possessed by something. Hence why the Dark Dwarves have been acting so strange lately. And look at this fight. First off, the boss can stun me and send me in any direction he wants. Yeah, look at the slow motion here. At one point I was even afraid he was going to stun lock me for the rest of the fight, but I got lucky. Also, there are 10 mortar dwarves firing at me constantly, and remember, I cannot dodge them. See? The shell landed over here. The explosion is wherever I am. Well, I kill him, and he doesn't even have any good loot on him. I think the last couple bosses didn't either. Yeah, who would want good items off the boss anyway? Back at the city, the blob tells us some more bullshit. Then there's word of an attack, and the Murder Hall dwarf has an aliens moment where he realizes the enemy has circumvented his murder hall by tunneling in through the mines. Oh, yo. And I have an ally now. Okay. And we have a classic game moment where we get a mini cutscene as we're being attacked. So we can't defend ourselves without risking cutting the dialogue short. Well, I am invincible, so I can sit and listen, but good job, guys. I actually have to give the game credit on the waypointing, because I'm completely lost in the Dwarf City since most of it looks alike. I don't always like being led around by the nose in games, but here it's kind of what I need. This whole scene is chaos. Everyone is fighting everywhere and respawning. Our objectives involve running from room to room and figuring out who to fight that isn't respawning. Some mage telling me that they've reprogrammed the mech using magic crystals to make it reenact the orc explosive scene from the Lord of the Rings movies. Then the force field goes down and the tanks roll out. Then some evil mage sets up his force field. More fighting, lots of dialogue, more of those in-game transmissions. I got confused if I was escorting the mechs or if they're escorting me. Some important mech gets wrecked. I get more confused because one of the tanks seems to go rogue, takes out the murder hall, takes out the door. Then some cocky mage shows up saying he's going to enslave everyone. Everybody was kung fu fighting. It was a little bit frightening. Then we get some quite good voice acting on the mage's defeat.
No! Not now! Not with silver holes at my feet and the aspect in my grasp! No!
Boom! Down he goes. I really have no idea what just happened here, but seeing a dwarf pump some mage full of lead is about as satisfying an ending as I can imagine. See, I don't think this is a good game, but it's not for lack of trying. This battle took a lot of effort, and even though the story feels like it's made up on the spot, and I'd rather punch myself in the face than play this without cheats, I'm kind of intrigued. And the quests are kind of the opposite of what we saw in Hellgate London. I'm getting cutscenes and heartfelt thanks from the dwarves for helping them. Back to our buzzword story, this time we have the Aspect of Control, the Landshatter Prophecies, the Tower of Rokos, Priestess Ixada, Firefeather, and the Forest Mons. Everybody caught up? Good, off to the jungle. Along the way, we run into the Amazon we could have played as, and apparently I'm not gunning down orcs fast enough for her. Me neither. Oh yeah, did you see that? Not the smoothest transition I've ever seen. Well, she wants to join the party and we have to choose her fighting style. Well, I was noticing it was a little harder to target enemies when she was in the way, so I want to keep her ranged. Chella the Eagle. She's not much help, but I wasn't expecting any, so it's fine, I guess. The game throws me a labyrinth, of course. This is all kind of ugly. I mean, I like the vines, but it's just drab ruins and a maze. Blah. And the Amazon's not doing a very good job of staying back. She's just running into packs of enemies to get wrecked. Moreover, this is a problem for me because I can't target enemies when she runs in front of me. Then it hit me. The AI is having the same problem I did. She probably had enough energy for 3 or 4 shots, then she had to revert to her crappy melee attack. This game sucks. Well, I like the jungle tree line and the overcast clouds, even though I wish it wasn't blurry. It feels better getting away from the ruins. So up next, we have some more ruins. An orc mage calls down lightning on us, and look at this. It's another maze, except the maze itself is hidden. I have all these gaps, but anytime I get close to a gap, he calls down lightning and blocks it. And I have to go around, except I don't know what's open and what's closed. Sometimes I'm too fast and there are invisible walls. I mean, look at this mini-map. Does this look fun to navigate? Remember, that's not accurate. It's about 3/4 more closed off than even the map shows. This is misery. This is pure gaming misery. But I make it through, and look at this. The Amazon has a lot to tell me, but can't be bothered to give me a cutscene, so she just thrust it in there. Look, she's running away. Are they serious? Now she actually is speaking this, but I could barely hear it. Listen, it's coming from the left. No, wait, come back. I can't see the story. I'm impressed. I think this is the worst exposition method I've seen in my life. Well, we just have to climb the pyramid and make it to the magic orcs. Now, of course, the instinct when climbing a Mayan-style pyramid is just to go straight up it. But because this game is what it is, it snakes you around in the longest way possible. I wouldn't mind if the game was scenic or fun.
The eye is ours.
What's the eye?
With this, the queen will be powerful once again, and our immortality is assured.
Queen of what? Why does the water elemental have a mullet? Okay, now listen carefully and tell me if you spot a flaw with the orc's plan here.
Destroy everyone on the temple, starting with those you see before you.
So what do you think? Is there any flaw in that plan? I guess not. Water slide time! Whee! And it's our boss fight. It's not fun. Time for the fist.
The fist.
It's just the Badlands at night with a bunch of orcs. Lot of orcs. Oh yeah, I've been skipping over a lot, and it's almost all mundane. But I want to emphasize the necessity of having to loot every single body. Now I'm cheating, so armor is almost meaningless to me. But if I want a better gun, I can't buy one. I can't craft one. My only chance is to hope for random drops, which means checking every last body. They all contain something. Not many contain what I want. After a while, the bodies fade to loot bags, but this is getting really tedious. I want to say I've done this hundreds of times by now. Now this area is kind of special because I'm pretty sure this is where I quit the game the first time. I don't like the Badlands, and the rest of the game hadn't gotten its hooks into me, so yeah. You know, I remember seeing this featurette, I think for the Devil's Rejects, where they were scouting out possible locations for the film, and they found this dried up abandoned farm out in the desert that was utterly worn down and perfect for the movie. And it already contained these basically mummified chickens in it.
So you look in there, and there's really like mummified chickens. I mean, it was so hot and dry that they were like, it felt like if you touched them, they'd go, pff, just turn to dust. We couldn't build this if we had $50 million.
That's what I tend to think of when I think of the Badlands.
What is that infernal noise?
Oh my god, my character has speaking lines. I am hours into this, and he hasn't said a word until now. This still isn't as extreme as Requital, but I thought for sure he was a silent protagonist. Oh, and Chella's changed outfits. Now she has this kind of tribal French maid thing going on. Whoa, that's a big orc. Once again with the undodgeable attacks. Tell me, from a design perspective, what's the point of having big attacks you can't evade in an action game? To scare the player? I guess that works, but it feels cheap. And I guess this is why it's called the Fist? A giant hand statue? I like the big sword. I'm pretty sure they were inspired by World of Warcraft again on this one, but hey, I approve. You're not going to have too many gigantic statues or skull remnants in your fantasy game. This is good. I can see why I quit. It may not look like it, but the game is feeling incredibly tedious right now. Part of the problem is I'm trying to cycle some of my attack skills since you only level them up by using them. So it seems like you shouldn't use the same 2 attacks for everything, though maybe I should. Now I don't regret not using melee skills since a lot of enemies will run from you, but we also have an explosive skill tree. I'm almost in shock this exists. Now it's possible I'm missing something, but let me explain how bad this looks on the surface. Okay, this game has explosives, but I haven't been using them because they kind of suck. Look, here I am throwing explosives at some enemies. Bam! Didn't even kill them. What's more, one targeted shot with my rifle does more damage. I haven't compared it against my area of effect attack, but it's nothing to write home about. Now, I'm somebody who likes explosives to really mean something in games, but that's not even our biggest problem. You see, unlike ranged attacks, I have limited ammunition for explosives. Very limited. Remember how much trouble it was for me to mix one potion? It's a similar story for explosives. Now, you can buy extra supplies from merchants, but they are not cheap. So I have to hunt down or buy expensive ingredients in order to craft a single explosive, and their damage is about the same as my gun, except it has unlimited ammo. And look at this. I'm attacking low-level enemies with my explosives. The skill, which is leveled up by throwing any grenade, is advancing so slowly I can't even see the progress. So it looks like the skill progression rate is the same as bullets. Why the hell would you devote a skill tree to this? You know what this reminds me of? That episode of Star Trek where Kirk has to fight the Gorn, and he ends up handcrafting a bazooka? He spends the whole episode searching for raw materials so he can craft gunpowder and a projectile just to fire one shot. That's exactly what this is. Actually, it's kind of worse, because at least Kirk knocked the Gorn on his ass with just one shot. This skill tree would be like telling Kirk, good job. Now, we need you to do that again at least 500 more times. Again, I could be missing something, because your assumption is that games with this level of production don't ship with mechanics this bad, but I haven't found evidence to the contrary. So far, this is easily one of the worst skill trees I've ever seen. Oh look, I'm being attacked as the cutscene starts! Now I'm invincible, but if I wasn't, you never know how this is gonna play out. There's a famous example of this sort of thing in Assassin's Creed 3, but I could swear I've seen other games where you can drop dead in the middle of a cutscene because your character is still being attacked and you're defenseless. Well, out of the Badlands and into the Jungle Temple, and it kinda sucks. It snakes you all the way around these platforms, and I'm feeling some of the computer game madness setting in where you just circle geometric architecture over and over again. Everything looks so drab, and it's the same thing over and over. I mean, look at the map. It's another maze. You know, I finally got to see Hellraiser 2, and I'm seeing some similarities between this level design and a literal interpretation of hell. But the real hell is the looting. You need to check every body, every single body, every last one. At the very least, you'll get money from it. I'm blaming this on them copying World of Warcraft again. This problem was already solved in other action RPGs. In Diablo, if an enemy has loot, he just drops it, and you have a clue of what it is and whether you want it or not. You don't have to go back and personally inspect every single corpse just to be sure. But you do in World of Warcraft because they don't want to overwhelm the server with loot everywhere, so they keep it all bound to the body. Except even in World of Warcraft, only some bodies have loot on them. And again, it all looks random. See, look, here I am taking down these giant bastards with a glowing aura. Their loot is nothing special. Yet 100 corpses later, here's some orc with a gun on him that is a big improvement on the one I'm using. And I want all the damage I can get. This is boss-worthy loot. Yet this is the RPG equivalent of finding this next to a dumpster in an alley. And if that's not enough, the actual looting process itself is ugly. First, this happens in a lot of games. The automatic body highlighting isn't great. Here's what I think is going on. Say one body drops. Well, even though I see a body, the computer may actually just be drawing a box around it to simplify the processing or reduce memory. So if I just click on the box, then I loot the body. But what if there are two bodies? Well, I may see two bodies and try to click on them, but the computer's decided that the first body takes priority. So if I click anywhere inside this first box, which includes vision of the second body, I'm only going to select the first one. The real place to click might be right here, but this is all invisible, so I'm unlikely to find that. Now imagine there are 12 bodies, and this is not fun. I'm actually thinking some of these bodies land in the exact same space as the other, because there have been multiple times now where I could swear I looted all the bodies. Then I come back later, and there are loot bags I missed. The best place to hide is inside the exact same space as something else. Oh, and the cherry on top of all this is when I do loot a body, it's constantly unselected the first time I do it. Look at this. Inspecting the body, going to get the loot, yoink, the window closed, gotta do it again. I didn't press any button. This happens over and over again, and probably isn't the most irritating thing I've seen in games, but you know, I think this would make a top 100 list. The gaming madness is starting to get to me too. Remember how I was alternating between skills to level them up? I'm not sure that's working anymore. I've killed so many orcs and zombies by now, and I could see the skills going up earlier, but now it just feels frozen. Is it just slowing down exponentially? Have I hit a level cap? I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. I'd rather just switch back to the skills that do marginally more damage, but this is such an utter and complete slog. I don't have a manual anymore, and neither does replacement docs. Though even if they did, I doubt they would be so kind to tell me the fine details of the leveling system. Pure slog. And hey, full disclosure, this is where I quit the second time. So we're heading into uncharted territory for me. If I was still the elf, I'd say let us pray there won't be more ruin mazes after this. Well, the big baddie is the zombie queen, who gives me some more chunky dialogue across the screen without pausing the combat. This is a bad habit, guys. I have to question if making the undead zombie queen with rotting flesh look sexy is a good move. But I don't really know what's going on in the player's mind who made it this far without cheating either. She seems unremarkable as a boss, but I am invincible. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the act boss. Story-wise, she's been in control of everything in the jungle level. It must be approaching 1,000 enemies. I bet you she doesn't have any gear. I bet you $5 she has no good loot on her. Okay, there's our cutscene. Alright, let's see. Yeah, common item, small potion, common. I would have won. This game. Well, I have to say, the cutscenes and everyone thanking me and the good voice acting really does help soften the blow. Also, it was never explained what the eye is. Is that just what the orcs were calling the aspect? I don't know. I think the story just decided to drop that. And who the hell is Catalkis? At first I thought those were the orcs, but no, they were Khan and Black Talon. Okay, I'm giving the game a 50-50 chance Catalkis never gets mentioned again. On to the desert! Oh boy, my favorite. And now the vampire lady wants to join us. I see where this is going. Oh, I have an option! I didn't have an option with the Amazon, she just joined automatically. Ah well, may as well take her. We're already committed. Oh, and I was wrong about the Amazon. She's changed clothes again, and that top is totally a sex thing now. That's not hot weather clothes anymore. And the vampire's mom apparently had her mind wiped, as did most of the clan. But she was away on business or something and didn't get the curse. Oh good, Blobwing. The aspect you have captured is an echo of the power that ripped into the land when the Apocalypse cult caused the dragon to come forth. Aspects find their way into the hands of those that can create more chaos to feed the dragon. Then the dragon will break the land, so say the Landshatter prophecies. The Minotaurs of Aradaxis were linked in the Tower histories to the aspects of death in long— Stop. Just stop. I can't take this writing. I'm sure I'm only skimming the surface to what's a very deep ocean of bad fantasy writing, but stuff like this is why my brain just shuts down when it comes to the majority of it, or at least in games. You know what's more important than details of your story? Or the lore history? Having any connection at all to the characters? As in, do you even care if they live or die? Or being invested in the plot or conflict and caring about the outcome? Anyway, this is the desert. And we have laser beams now because the vampire joined our party. I don't have a problem with this.
These hieroglyphs are greatly worn by sand and the passage of time.
They are similar to sets of glyphs used by the Necropolis. Probably the language of the Minotaurs themselves.
Minotaurs?
I believe it says...
It says what? I didn't cut anything here. I guess the sentence wasn't worth finishing. I understand.
It seems our quest is not to be that simple.
Ah, well, the Knoll spoke of a door or gateway.
When? When did they do that? Okay, I think it's maybe becoming a running joke that I keep playing games that make me doubt my own sanity. But what can I say? This keeps happening. Now, I admit, I'm not very invested in the story, and it's lost me to a degree, but my character is just making things up now. I'm not letting this slide. I went back and carefully looked at the dialogue. There is nothing about Noel speaking of some gateway. Well, so what? Who cares? Good question. I shouldn't. But I do, because now the story is gaslighting me. I don't see this often in games, but I don't have much patience for it when I do. What's the matter, Ross? You forgot about that thing that never happened? What's wrong with you, Ross? You can't follow the story that we're changing retroactively and pretending like it was this way all along? Come on, get with the program. Well, the program is just a bunch of ruins and desert. I'm starting to check out here. They try to spice it up with a mysterious portal, which, granted, that's a good attempt, but all it does is take us back in time so that the desert ruins are no longer ruins. They're just drab buildings now. And instead of gnolls, we're fighting minotaurs now. Past that is a drab temple. It's just finding a bunch more members of the Vampire Sex Club, and none of this is even half as fun as it should be. Yeah, it's not like that. There's also invisible wraiths that can stun me and fly through walls and let out this awful shrieking sound when they die that I have to hear over and over. And I'm complaining, but I still prefer this to invincible wraiths that can fly through walls and kill you. That's totally not what made me stop playing Silent Hill 4 or anything. One of the mini-boss fights here really confused me. I stopped being able to target her, though I was able to target my allies and hit her with the crossfire. Maybe the devs thought they were being clever here? But you have to understand you can't just fire your gun blindly in this game. You have to have a target. So this feels like an exploit to get around a limitation that the devs themselves set. Plus, they shouldn't put the idea of shooting your teammates in the player's head in this game. Don't threaten me with a good time. The boss is pretty impressive though, some Bone Lord guy, though everything is the same old tired combat as everything else, just with a lot more respawning. Now you can argue I'm cheating myself by, cheating, but the thing to keep in mind is I'm doing damage in this game I think about as efficiently as possible, and it's still a total slog. So if I were to play it normally, there would be more variety since I would have constant overheating, but then all the fights would take 5 times as long and be even less fun. There's no winning here. Well, we killed the boss, then the Blob Patrol says we can't give you the artifact you need for the story because we're in the past and we need it now. But hey, catch us in 1,000 years and we'll help you then. Yeah, okay. So 1,000 years later, we come back and get ready for a truth bomb.
The tower has had the aspect of death in its possession the entire time.
What? Yeah, I had to go back and rewatch what exactly everyone's so shocked about. So the artifact necessary to advance the plot they already had the entire time, but they didn't want to risk changing the timeline by telling you. The Blob chose his words carefully too. If the aspect lies there, you should go find it. He could be a lawyer. Then they're like, sorry for lying to you, won't happen again, promise. I mean, except for preventing chaos, there's not much rhyme or reason to any of this. Why was there a time-traveling portal just sitting out there in the desert anyway? Why are there aspect artifacts lying around to be reunited? The thing is, I don't really want answers to those questions. I just want good presentation. This plot twist I think could be the worst I've ever seen. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It's that the game feels like it's making up its story at every turn, then all of a sudden it's like, haha, one of the things I just made up, I was double making up. Gotcha! Yeah, I guess it did. The next area is this impressive Japanese garden-inspired Dragonkin Village. This is a nice change of pace. So our first quest is to head into another drab-ass temple. Oh, good. Just what I wanted. Yeah, I wouldn't want a big level along the side of some exotic cliff face with rope bridges and fantasy waterfalls with falling leaves from cherry blossoms. Who would want to see that? No, thank God I'm in some more dark copy-paste ruins. Was getting worried there. At least the AI has mercy on me because the level is too much of a maze for it to navigate. So it just glitches out and parks all my allies in one spot, leaving me to solo this. Well, not entirely. At one point they helped out by attacking through 2 walls. So that's nice, I guess. They really want you to scour every last inch of this mausoleum too. There are these special braziers that you have to light up that look like all the others that are just normal parts of the level. And if you don't find every last one, you can't progress. Not that that is explicitly stated. I actually got stuck before I realized this, because the one part of this level that looks good, with moody shafts of light pouring in, unleashes all these high-level dragon mummies on me. which I take down, but by the time I made my way up to the ones at the end, the earlier ones respawned. It's an endless loop. Though in their defense, I should have taken a clue when I realized they had no loot on them. Remember, you have to loot everything in this game. Everything! Also, I apparently get experience for fighting these dragons over and over again. So yeah, there's a tip for you. You can farm this area for unlimited experience. What's not to like? Well, we finally get our Dragon Mage joining the party. Yeah, fire. Burn everything. I don't care. The gem caverns make a compelling case for me to turn the bloom back on since they're so colorful, but nope, I'm still not doing it. Also, plot twist, I guess. I accidentally turned depth of field back on when I was fixing things after the orb incident. I feel like a moron since I hate that effect. I just assumed you couldn't turn it off because that is the case in a lot of games. Plus, the config settings in this game are weird. You have to delete this file after changing your config or they won't stick. Well, I'm not going back and re-recording the footage. Oh god. But it's off now. The AI glitches out immediately on the gem caverns too. I'm okay with this. Look at them, they're just standing there. It's like they're saying, go on ahead, you've got this. We're getting a lot more enemies here, which is fun, except remember, I have to loot them all afterwards. Look at the aftermath of this. This is a chore. You have to loot everything. Well, the gimmick here is the two-headed dragon has been using some exotic magic so that he's near invincible. So every time you kill him, he hatches from a new egg. So you have to kill him over and over and over. My, what fun. There's also some voodoo priestess dragon lady for some reason. Look at the camera work. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why does she have breasts? That's a mammal thing, not a reptile thing. Though I'm dead certain this isn't the first game to do that. Also, she throws a pineapple grenade at me. Well, we resolve some ancient dragon crap and head on to the snow camp. I mean, there is a story here, but we established that it gaslights you. And I think they're just making it up as they go anyway. You can make up your own story as to why we're here now. It'll probably be about as good.
I would join your party and aid you in your quest.
Sure, Elf. You can join. Nothing matters. Oh god, is the game trying to outdo their exposition? Listen to this speech!
And away from the Mage and be ready. The Atlanteans will come for their crash no more than a fluke, my griffins. Shall not be true and...
Well, to make up for it, I think we get the best music in the game so far. Yeah, this is good snow camp music. It really stands out because there's barely any music in this game. There's nothing for the cutscenes, and it occasionally plays some battle theme, and I am so sick of all of them by now. Da 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 da. Just stop. I really like the level design for this part. We're largely following a frozen stream bed uphill in the forest. I mean, our polygon count is conservative, but this looks damn nice considering the overall production value. Oh, and I feel obligated to inform you this is Chapter 5, and there are centaurs. I promise I did not know this when I made that earlier comment. It was a complete shot in the dark, and it hit. Though they're snow centaurs, with faces that sort of look like a Goof Troop character. So I'm not Nostradamus. The stream bed takes us to this Disney-like ice castle with some ice golem telling us we need to die because we killed some smaller ice golems trying to kill us. And guess what? We're going to need to kill him multiple times. What a great mechanic to have in games. It really makes you feel like you're effective and doing something important and not want to smash your screen. Because, you know, if you smash your screen, it's going to stay smashed. Well, the ice castle is kind of a maze. The inside is as dull as the other levels, but this one kind of won me over because we have a nice snowy atmosphere with delicious evening light everywhere. That helps dull the pain of an ungodly amount of looting and fighting the same boss over and over again. He's no joke either. He has an attack where he'll frequently freeze me so I'm completely helpless, and he managed to slaughter my entire party. I am so not regretting cheating. Also, I'm pretty sure parts of this level have infinite respawning enemies. Another old favorite of mine. Well, it turns out the whole thing was a giant misunderstanding where he thought we were trying to usher in the apocalypse and not stop it. Whoops. I admit, I'm a fan of this trope, where you have two groups on the same side, but there's a misunderstanding, so one group has to slaughter hundreds of the second group just to have a conversation to explain you're on the same side. Big fan of that sort of thing. The bloodier the better. Well, all's well that ends well, and on our way out, more of his ice golems try to kill us. Oh, wait, no, he's friendly and straight out of Dr. Seuss.
It's true, you're due, but we can't play without your say. It's all up to you.
I like how the friendly guy burst out of the ground screaming. That's how you make friends. I kinda lost track of what's happening, but we're heading to some conveniently located gigantic steampunk factory. I guess they've gotta manufacture the grenades somewhere. I think the slogginess of the game is actually getting worse just because of so much looting. So much looting and none of it is what I need. Look at this. I'm trying to select that loot bag in the center. Can I get it? Come on, surely I can get it. Can I get it without looting the other two bags because they contain crap I don't need? Nope, I can't do it. I wasn't up to the task. Well, we have a big fight with respawning enemies again, and I'm confused because I'm not sure if these are infinite or not, because this is a boss fight in an enclosed room and the boss has disappeared. The game actually crashed for me after the cutscene and I had to redo this. So I don't know if we're bugging out or what. Well, they weren't infinite, that's the good news. We steal the airship, Blobwing magically shows up, and we take off. And I'm not sure I've seen this before. Okay, we're departing, fade out, get a load screen, then bam, straight to the crash landing. No airtime at all outside of the hangar. Yeah, who needs any of that transition crap anyway? Well, we're basically in Mordor, and the Dark Army comes to stop us, and Blobwing just waves his tentacle and makes them all die. I mean, what's the point of this? To kill morale? This makes all our fights look lame, and I'm cheating. I mean, he's not gonna join our party to help us, is he? Nope. This is just a reminder that we're all his puppets and he could do our job instantly with no effort. Thanks, Blob. Well, Mordor doesn't give you a break. Although the game has the courtesy to let me see the reinforcements spawn in as soon as I kill the first guard. So that communicates I need to run, not fight. This happened in the Dwarf City fight too. So I would say they're doing infinite respawning the right way, but they also did them the wrong way earlier. So, And oh no! The anti-aliasing is breaking down! These are the hazards of trying to get clean image quality, guys. I was seeing a little bit of this sort of thing earlier where I spotted outlines on some of the sunbeams, but this is overt. So far, it's just these green pools. Oh man. Well, what we need to do, I think, is kill 5 cultists at 5 different sites just like this, and they are... Oh no, I crashed again! Reload. Oh man, this is making me nervous. The game's actually been totally stable until the factory. Now I'm getting worried. I was gonna say, these sites are absolutely packed with infinitely respawning enemies. I just try to run in and position myself so when I spray my shots, they hit the cultist and keep the rest of the tide back. Even though I'm cheating, these guys with the sledgehammers have a stun move. So the risk of being caught in an infinite stun chain gang is real. I also decided to do myself a favor and have stopped looting. It feels like we're close to the end, so my current weapon is just gonna have to do. And I'm not 100% on this, but if you wanted to take this to insane heights, despite having infinite respawning, all the enemies still have loot. So you could probably flood this place with loot bags until the game ran out of memory if you wanted. I don't think that's why I crashed though. I've killed 5 times the enemies I was facing earlier, and it's holding steady. There's a dragon, and it looks pretty good. Honestly, it feels like the character designers brought their A-game when making this, so they did their job. It sprays the bridge with acid while the dwarf huffs it in, I guess. But if we take down the last cultist, then the dragon wanders off, because it's no longer feeding on chaos, apparently. Then there's a new villain, and I was wrong. Katalkus is making a comeback. He gets mentioned again. I have no idea who he is, though. Infinite respawning. Thanks for the tip. We're just gonna run. No, we'll skip the dragon. That's fine. And here is the man himself, Katalkus. And the physics on his medallion are wigging out a little bit. So he's captured Blob Guy and starts handing us plot points. The Blob Guy is from another world, and Katalkus is siphoning his world energy to destroy this one. I like how our heroes ask him why he's doing all this. His answer isn't very satisfying. He's been dead and alive a really long time and wants to save the world, but decided the land is corrupt, so he needs to blow everything up to start over. I mean, if his premise is true, wouldn't you just want a bunch of priests to sanctify the land instead? Wouldn't that be more effective? If the land is corrupt, blowing it up means you're just shuffling it around. I don't think that would change anything. We don't bring this up, unfortunately, and he's the crazy bad guy, so he's allowed to have bad logic. I feel like this would have been more impressive if the game had built up his story prior to this. Instead of, hey, it's me, the supervillain. Have you heard of me? Thrust right in at the end here. Okay, boss fight and infinite enemy time. He's invincible, and I assume since the game's making a big deal out of these beams, we need to kill the cultist here too. Yep, see, there's a quest marker. We've got to shut these down to make him vulnerable. Okay. This is classic boss fight stuff. Oh, seriously? Blob has to interrupt me now? I'm on my second pillar being mobbed, and he has to clutter up my screen to tell me what I'm already doing? Why didn't they start the boss encounter with this? And you're taking up too much of the screen, you hog! Okay, brought down the pillars. Now he's vulnerable. Oh, good. He can stun me, but his health is not insane. This is a quite reasonable health pool. I've seen bosses with way more health than this. Alright, here we go! Transition of the year. Okay, I guess he's also the dragon? Sure, why not? Okay, close your eyes if you're prone to seizures. That actually looks pretty rad. That's a pretty good effect. His health is also not insane. Good. Okay, and down he goes. Yeah, nice death animation, guys. I guess loot the body? Oh, he actually has a good gun. Yeah, the very final boss has good loot. Well, what now? I took down all the bad guys. Shouldn't something happen? The map shows a quest marker here. The cultist respawned. Maybe I need to re-trigger all the pillars again? Fine, let's do it. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. No, nothing. Okay, do I need to exit the area? No, nothing again. Okay, maybe come back? I even reloaded a save here. The pillars are white now. Nothing happens when I activate all of them. What the hell? Oh man, this glitched out on the final boss? Okay, let's load my save prior to this boss fight, go through this gauntlet all over again, kill all the cultists, and hey, this time I killed the bald woman helper too. Kill Katalkus, kill the dragon, but I'm gonna turn off the trainer just before the final blow, just in case. No, nothing. Are they serious? So this game doesn't even have an ending? Did they just not bother? Well, we know the game isn't 100%. Remember, I've been having the white portraits this whole time. I tried installing this on XP on a virtual machine, and it gets to the menu, but crashes when you play the game, so no luck there. Now, if we have a look in the movie folder, there's no ending cinematic. That's a little suspicious, though I have seen games where they hide the end cinematic to avoid spoilers. But that could still mean the end is just an in-game cutscene. I'm not proficient enough to determine that just from the files. I mean, the game is patched. I did it myself. I'm running 1.02. I couldn't find a Let's Play of this game online where somebody hadn't given up. I thought I saw one in the past, but I can't find it now, and YouTube search is hot garbage these days. Well, I'm not super disappointed. I got to kill the bosses and see nothing behind them. This reminds me of the old days when sailors thought if you sailed out far enough, you would just fall off the edge of the world. I feel like that's what's happened here. We got to see the edge. But I admit, this bugs me, so I decided to do round 3. I also realized I forgot to loot Catalkas's body himself. I only got the dragon. Let's make 100% sure I cannot finish this game. And inside the arena, I realized I had been starting with the pillar directly in front of me. And that kind of looks like the main one. Maybe I should save it for last. So let's try another one first instead. Yeah, spam me. Oh my god, it's a cutscene. This is different. This never happened. Yeah, now there are rock walls I have to navigate around. Which is annoying, but there are cutscenes as Catalka summons in his minions instead of just dropping them on you. It makes more sense now. It's the same thing for the other nodes, except now we have to fight both him and the dragon at the same time. Then fight the dragon double. Then the blob sacrifices himself to turn the dragon into an egg. Then the rest of the blob squad shows up and the vampire says what I was thinking.
Once again, too late to actually contribute to the fight.
Wards. Yeah. There were no wards, people. I knocked out all the cult towers. This is bullshit. They do release us from our oath, though, so that's something. I guess the original oath is in the manual? We may never know. Step inside the yellow ring for the credits, purple to restart the game. I guess credits. I can't even loot while the message blocks that. But this is the end of the game. And we get ominous music for the credits, which doesn't feel too fitting for a victory, honestly. Jesus Christ, we did it. We stopped the Mage Knight apocalypse. And I was waiting for the end to say this, but there were no actual knights in this game. Was there even an apocalypse, really? Sort of. Well, I'm still kind of in shock the ending exists. Seriously, I thought they decided no one would make it this far, so they just cut and run in order to ship it out in time. I was planning to upload my save files for people to investigate. The problem wasn't me using a trainer, it wasn't modern Windows, it was me selecting the purple node before the green one. When will I ever learn? This is another odd game where it feels like it had way too much effort for a shovelware title. Seriously, I can't tell you how many cutscenes I skipped for this episode. I'd say the game has some redeeming value, but not a lot. It had a lot of pain, too. The looting, Jesus Christ. I guess the moral to this story is the apocalypse doesn't always go down how you think it will. Legend! What?